Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, Seadrift City Council will review the status of their police chief who has been suspended since June 25th. Plus, more details and questions are coming out following former President Trump's attempted assassination. Plus, first responders in Victoria County will soon have a dedicated shelter to withstand tornadoes and hurricanes.
Well, the sun is out, and you've probably felt the warmer temperatures getting up into the 90s today. That's our pattern for about 2-3 days, but later this week, good chance of more showers rolling in. We'll have all that coming up in just a moment.
Police are investigating a deadly shooting at a Birmingham nightclub late Saturday. The number of people dead this afternoon. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Karina Garcia. Victoria County deputies arrested a 46-year-old man Friday. Jason Dearson of Victoria is charged with manufacture and delivery of a controlled substance. He is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of a $50,000 bond. And Victoria County deputies arrested a 27-year-old man Saturday. Joe Vella of Victoria is also charged with manufacture and delivery of a controlled substance. He is in the Victoria County Jail in lieu of a $50,000 bond. Tonight, the city of Seadrift will review the status of its police chief. The city suspended Chief of Police Marie Carizales on June 25th. City council members will meet at 6 p.m. at 501 South Main Street in Seadrift. Chief Carizales was hired full-time on May 3rd of 2023. She joined the department in November of 2021, just part-time. Point Comfort Police and Calhoun County deputies arrested a 20-year-old man Friday. Dominic Rodriguez is charged with evading arrest and detention and violation of probation, harassment of a public servant. He remains in the Calhoun County Jail in lieu of a $65,000 bond. And DeWitt County deputies arrested an 18-year-old man Friday. Rylan Herrera is charged with various crimes that we will review tonight at 6. And Calhoun County residents who suffered losses from storms in May have 1 month left to apply for federal assistance. The deadline is August 15th. FEMA has provided over $176 million to Texas households. Calhoun County residents can go online to disasterassistance.gov and download the FEMA app for mobile devices. They can call the FEMA helpline at 800-621-3362 between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. August 15th also is the deadline for submitting disaster loan applications to the Small Business Administration at sba.gov/disaster or by calling 800-659-2955. And now let's take a look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez.
Well, thank you, Karina. All of those stories remind us that, hey, at least we got some quiet weather for at least a week. Right now, we're looking at sunny, hot, humid days, but later this week, shower activity will roll in. Not a storm. Don't worry about that. But it looks like more rain coming in our direction, and we'll be talking about that coming up in just a few minutes, so stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Mac, thank you. As the Republican National Convention kicks off today, new details are coming out about Saturday's attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. People are now asking the questions regarding the suspected gunman's motives.
Just hours before shots were fired at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, we are now learning the 20-year-old gunman purchased 50 rounds of ammunition at a local gun store, according to a senior law enforcement official. The AR-style weapon used by Thomas Matthew Crooks now being traced back to his father. While the FBI is working to determine a motive behind the attack that left one man dead and 2 others critically wounded, former classmates of Crooks describe him as quiet.
He was just very, very bland. Didn't show no facial expressions. Just very to himself.
A search of the shooter's vehicle revealed possible explosives in the trunk. Witnesses to the shooting say they saw Crooks before shots were fired.
He's on top of the roof.
And tried to alert law enforcement.
My wife ran up to law enforcement, was trying to tell them, where he was, but they couldn't seem to see him because they weren't in the right spot to see him on the roof.
We are also learning Secret Service did not sweep the building where the gunman was perched. A source familiar with the investigation saying a local counter-sniper team was responsible for the building. However, the Pennsylvania State Police deny that responsibility.
When I say that something like this cannot happen, we are speaking of a failure.
This morning, U.S. Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle released her first statement since the shooting, confirming they will cooperate with an independent review of the incident. In New York, I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
Former President Donald Trump has picked his running mate. Trump announced he had selected Ohio Senator J.D. Vance to join him on the Republican ticket. Vance served in the Marine Corps, graduated from Ohio State University, and is a Yale Law School graduate. Vance is also a best-selling author, which later was turned into a film starring Glenn Close and Amy Adams. Trump cited Vance's successful business career and said the senator will focus on helping American workers and farmers in the Midwest and beyond. So here is your viewer poll. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen to vote. The question is, do you support Trump's selection of Senator J.D. Vance as his running mate? Yes or no? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part. And we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 6. A federal judge has dismissed the classified documents case against Donald Trump. In a ruling today, Judge Alan Cannon said the appointment of the special counsel in the case, Jack Smith, violated the Constitution. Smith had charged the former president of mishandling top secret documents after leaving the White House, accusing Trump of endangering national security. Smith can appeal the decision. Judge Cannon implied in her ruling that the special counsel might be able to restructure the office's funding to satisfy her concerns. Smith is still pursuing another case against Trump for election subversion. Special counsel Dave West, who is prosecuting Hunter Biden, survived repeated legal challenges on these same grounds. 4 people were killed in a shooting at a Birmingham, Alabama nightclub late Saturday night. At least 10 other people were injured. 2 women inside the nightclub and a man found on a nearby sidewalk were pronounced dead at the scene. Another man died at the hospital. The victims were identified Sunday. Their ages range from anywhere between 24 to 56 years of age. Police say a fight broke out during a birthday party being held inside the nightclub. They say soon after, at least one suspect drove by and fired shots from the street into the club. Police have not made any arrests just yet. Shelters are commonly available for the general public in the event of a disaster, but local, state, and federal first responder personnel are often left out, but that will soon be changing. Victoria County officials received funds supplied by the Hazard Mitigation Grant for a shelter to house first responders during and after a disaster. Similar to the safe room domes used for public use, the first responder shelter will be built to withstand the destructive winds associated with tornadoes and hurricanes. The shelter will be built near the Victoria Regional Airport. The job order will soon be put out to bid, and it's expected to be completed sometime in 2026. Workers will reduce Mockingbird Lane so crews can finish resurfacing. Drivers will see Mockingbird with 1 lane in each direction between John Stockbauer Drive and Loop 463 Tuesday. The construction is part of the 2024 Mill and Overlay project. Now remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. For now, stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5, as the case reaches a critical phase, jury resumes deliberations in the Mendez bribery trial. Also ahead, one person fatally shot at former President Donald Trump's rally, and now a community in Pennsylvania is coming together to remember that victim. Jury resumed their deliberations this morning. The jury deliberated for 3 hours Friday and denied charges that he engaged in a bribery scheme from 2018 to 2023 to benefit 3 New Jersey businessmen. The 2 businessmen who allegedly paid Mendez bribes of gold and cash accused in the case have also pled not guilty. Last week, lawyers spent more than 15 hours of delivering closing arguments as they encouraged the jury to carefully review hundreds of exhibits and hours of testimony. They announced several weeks ago that he plans to run for re-election this year as an independent. As federal authorities continue to investigate the suspected gunman behind former President Trump's assassination attempt, loved ones are remembering one victim killed during Saturday's rally.
It wouldn't even surprise me if it was complete strangers he did the same exact thing for.
Corey Comparator was a father, husband, a volunteer firefighter, and someone who everyone we spoke to described as a truly good man.
He was a good guy. He really was. You hear stories all the time that it's always the good ones that end up getting taken out, and unfortunately that's what happened.
Corey just hit his 30-year mark with the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Department. He even served as captain for the department for a few years. It was his dedication to his family that made Corey take a back seat and just continue on as an active firefighter. In a statement to Pittsburgh's Action News 4, Richard Hill, the Buffalo Township manager, says, quote, "The Buffalo Township Board of Supervisors is deeply saddened by the loss of Corey Comparator. We extend our deepest sympathies to the Comparator family and all those affected by Saturday's violence. Corey was a dedicated husband, father, friend, and volunteer to the community and will be sorely missed." Now, Corey is being remembered for his willingness to go above and beyond for everyone around him.
He was a good man. He'd take his shirt off his back for anyone.
He helped us out when I was real sick a couple years ago in the hospital and I almost died. Corey was one of the first people to message me saying, "Hey man, how can I help you?"
Bird now confirmed in 5 people working at a poultry farm in northeast Colorado. The workers caught the virus through direct contact with infected birds. This comes after 4 people previously tested positive for bird flu. Those cases were traced to dairy operations in Colorado, Texas, and Michigan. The CDC says the risk to the general public remains low. Health officials say poultry products are still safe to eat as long as they have been properly handled and cooked. 13 states have now reported cases of bird flu in their dairy cattle. Now, there are many who don't like talking about the discomfort of a weak pelvic floor after pregnancy, but there are ways to improve symptoms without surgery.
Weeks after giving birth, Nicole Lukens started feeling pressure in her pelvic area.
It just felt very heavy. And so knowing my body, I knew something wasn't right.
Lukens was diagnosed with a prolapsed bladder, the result of a weakened pelvic floor causing discomfort and leakage. One option was surgery.
I'm thinking that's just not going to happen because surgery means I can't lift my baby afterwards. It's just not going to happen.
Instead, Lukens' doctor referred her to pelvic floor therapy aimed at alleviating symptoms by strengthening those muscles.
This myth that once we've had kids or as we get older, we're just going to start leaking and we'll just lose control of these muscles and it's just gone. Is sad, and it's definitely not true.
Tessa Ladd, an occupational therapist with Orlando Health, helped to teach Lukens new ways to breathe and move to support the pelvic floor.
With consistency, with education, with training, you really can regain control of these muscles, and you really can start to learn how to coordinate them and use them so that you don't have pain or leaking or any risk for prolapse.
A lot of it was yoga moves and how I was breathing and stretching.
Now about 9 months postpartum, and Lukens says her doctor is amazed with her progress.
I don't really have very many symptoms at all, but it is something I work on daily.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Eagle Pass residents have mixed feelings about sharing their city with the National Guard. As part of Governor Greg Abbott's Operation Lone Star, thousands of soldiers have been sent to the border, impacting Eagle Pass significantly. You can read this article on our website, crossroadstoday.com. And now here's Mac.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. 93 degrees. We hadn't seen that in a couple of days because of the cloud cover, but sun comes up and that's what happens. In fact, let's see if we got it. Yep, 93 was actually our high temperature of the day, and 94 is the average. So it is July, and it's going to feel like July for a couple of days. But yeah, we've got a good shot at getting more shower activity around here. Nothing severe, but wetness will be good. We'll be talking about it coming up after this. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We had temperatures that were fairly reasonable because of the cloud cover over the last couple of days, but today the sun came up and we warmed up. And the funny part, we were the last ones in the state to actually get some clearing. Everybody else in Texas pretty much sunny, warm, humid, very July. But of course the cloud cover, it was holding on from that leftover rain that we had last week. A little bit heavier activity down along the border in the Laredo area. We had one little shower that rolled around our area today. There's Victoria, there's Highway 59, and you can see that storm. I'm going to call it the Highway 59 storm. Came up just beyond Edna, rolled over El Campo, and now headed toward Wharton. Now the truth is that's falling apart and it's not going to be much of anything. Well, I had predicted a big heat wave for this entire week. I'm going to have to pull that forecast back. I don't like doing that, but that's what's happening, because what happened is that the dome of heat, the big bubble of high pressure, actually divided in two. So as it divides in two, it leaves a trough in the middle of it. So we've got one dome over the western United States, still brutally hot, and then we have the other dome over portions of the southeastern Florida. So what that does, it basically, if you went to the beach and you made one hill over here and one hill over here, you're going to have a valley in the middle, right? Well, this valley in the middle is basically lower pressure, and that's going to allow a little bit of that triggering of the shower activity we had last week. So additional rain showers probably beginning on Thursday. You'll see it sort of developing. No heat advisory for us, but the rest of the country, yes, sir, they're really really heating up. In fact, all of these states in the central part of the country are under heat advisories, and all the stormy weather. Remember, under high pressure, we're not going to get storms. It just doesn't allow it. But on the periphery of it, on the outer edges of it, that's where they're getting the big stormy weather tonight. So places like Chicago and Minnesota, Minneapolis are getting the big stormy weather tonight. This is the morning temperatures for tomorrow morning. You notice that they're in the very warm 80s and 70s, but the high temperatures will be well into the hundreds in far western Texas. Not so much for us, but that's because we've got more humidity to deal with. But the western states heat wave continues. The eastern states continues. We are going to see a little bit of a change because of that that trough that's developing in between the two. Interesting to note that there are a couple of little bitty easterly waves down in the Atlantic, but it's really quiet. I mean, it got real busy there for what, 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden we got very quiet. So 7 days, not expecting any kind of tropical storm weather, and even if it did develop, it couldn't get through the pressure. So we're looking for isolated showers tomorrow, maybe 20–30%. Pardon me. High temperatures getting up into the low 90s. And then tomorrow in Cuero, we're also looking for about a 93 with a few isolated showers. Again, they're very widely scattered, but it does get a little bit of an increase by Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, and maybe Sunday, we should see, you know, a traditional July hot and steamy, couple of showers pop in the afternoon. That is your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody, we have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. And we'll toss it back to Karina.
Thank you, Matt. Coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we're going to take a look at your stocks. Plus, Google's eyeing a monumental move in cybersecurity with a potential $23 billion deal. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow up 211 points, the S&P 500 up 16 points, and the Nasdaq up 74 points. Oil down 30 cents, closing at $81.91 a barrel. Google is close to making a really large bet on cybersecurity. The tech giant is nearing its largest acquisition ever. It's a potential $23 billion deal for cybersecurity startup Wiz. Wiz makes cybersecurity software for cloud computing. Google's last major purchase was nearly a decade ago. That was $12.5 billion for Motorola. The potential deal still has not been finalized, and according to sources, it can still fall apart. And stay with us. We're going to take one last look at your forecast with Mac. Plus, a Concord teenager is rewriting aviation history in North Carolina. Plus, here's a look at world news tonight right after 25 News Now at 5.
President Trump, the assassination attempt, the shooter and at least one bystander confirmed dead. Stay with ABC News and David Muir reporting live on World News Tonight and with special coverage of the Republican National Convention tonight on ABC.
Is making aviation history. Concord native Ryan Gardner is a 17-year-old pilot and the youngest black person ever to earn his private license in North Carolina. Gardner took license at a small airport in Indian Trail. At first, his sights were set on being a ground crew member that would bring planes in. But after talking to a Delta pilot, he decided to pursue flight school. The city of Concord recognized Gardner's achievement last week, presenting him with an official proclamation. Now, we have 5 locations where our hurricane tracking guide can be picked up. You can go to crossroadstoday.com, click on weather and that hurricane tracker, and you'll see it right where below on Storm Prep 2024. And Mac, you actually have a hurricane tracker on you right now.
Yeah, and I want to thank, Full of Pep in Cuero and the Palace Bingo for sponsoring all of this. These are available there as well. So if you need one, I don't think the season's over. I know we're ready. We're done, right? One and done. Right. That's it. No more.
We always want it to be one and done.
But it's not that easy. You know, we've got a whole August, September, October to deal with. So we'll certainly be. I will be ready here. Anyway, the next couple of days is going to be very July-like, warm and humid in the mid-90s. And then we pick up a little bit more tropical activity. Now, this is what I call a loose environment where every afternoon we'll see a rain shower or two develop because of a loose environment or an unstable atmosphere. And that's what I expect for the latter half of this week. No severe weather, no big storms, no tropical storms to worry about for at least 7 days.
For at least 7 days.
At least.
But we got heat. So
well,
I mean,
heat. Heat,
we'll worry about that
We're
one.
not going to be able to get rid of that one.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, Mac. And thank you for being with us. We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight with David Muir is up next.